Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about a shunt. What is a shunt? Why do you need one? And how does it protect your batteries? Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. My name is Jim. Our channel's RVIntoRetirement, and we're talking about shunts today. What is a shunt? In order to understand what a shunt does, and in a nutshell, it will tell you what the state of charge is of your battery. And why is that important? Because if you discharge your particular battery below a certain point, you will develop sulfur on the lead acid plates. And we're specifically talking about more of the lead acid type batteries, although it's really good to know for different reasons on a lithium battery. Now I'm going to keep this at a high level because it can get pretty complex about all the different reasons that you need a shunt. But let's talk about batteries first, and then what the shunt will do for you. So I'm going to pull up a chart here, and if we take a look at this chart, this is actually a chart from AM Solar. I'm going to put a link in the comments below. It's good for either setting up your inverter charger, or if you have a solar system, to show you what settings that you should put in for your solar charger. So let's look at the 5 different types of batteries they have and the differences between them. The first one is a Trojan flooded battery. And if you look along this scale and go down to the left-hand side and come across on the discharge scale, you'll see that you can only bring this battery down to 50% of its life. So if it has 100 amp hours, you can only bring it down to 50 before you start damaging the battery by increasing the sulfur on the plates. The next one is a Lifeline AGM battery. And that's what we use in our RV. We find them to be a little more on the expensive side, but you don't ever have to put water in them. They are an absorbed gas material, and they tend to last a little bit longer than the flooded batteries. But then again, you can see also the discharge floor on that is 50%. And so if once again, if you have 100 amp hours of battery, you can only bring it down to half of that before you start doing damage to the battery. And what's important about these is that a lot of times when you bring your coach in for service, they'll leave something on that's going to drain your battery down. I'm going to talk about towards the end a way to try to rectify that if that situation happens to you with a device that's available on the market. Let's look at the last 3 batteries, and those are all different forms of lithium batteries. And one of the big advantages of lithium batteries is that you could drain them down. In this chart, they show down to 20%. So I think some of them say you can drain them down all the way. They have a built-in computer program that's going to turn them off at the lowest point and not let it go to a complete discharge. They're a lot more expensive, not as susceptible to damage as the flood acid batteries are. So what is the shunt now? The shunt is a device that is going to measure the total amp use of your battery. And so you would go through and you would set it up. If you had a 100 amp hour battery and it's a flooded battery, you would set the floor at 50%. The way the shunt connects is one side goes to the negative post. So you would take the current wire off that's on your negative post and put a new wire on that you can get at any auto parts store. It doesn't have to be that long. I think ours is maybe 6 or 7 inches long. And that connects from negative to the shunt, and then you put your other end that was connected to the battery on the other end of the shunt. And so what it does is it measures the voltage that's coming across that shunt as you use it. So if you start With your batteries at 100%, it's going to constantly monitor it down. Now, there's two kinds of shunts available, there's multiple kinds of shunts available, but Victron Energy seems to be the best that's out there. They sell them for different size battery banks. You could get a 500 amp, 1,000, or a 2,000 amp, depending on how many batteries you have and what your total amperage is. Once again, I'll put links to those in the comments below. Now, it used to be that they had them where you had to install it at your battery, and then you had to drill a hole in your wall somewhere and put this monitor. But now they sell what's called a smart shunt. And what the smart shunt does is it has Bluetooth to your phone, and you can monitor the status of your battery on there. If I take a look at mine right now, it shows that I have 97%, so I've used 3% of my total amps available, and it tells me what the current is at -5, and my power usage at -73 watts. So all in all, I've consumed from the top 30.5 amp hours, and the time remaining is 3 days, 16 minutes. And so that time remaining is the important part. This is your state of charge, and it doesn't matter if you have a flooded battery, an AGM, or a lithium battery. It's always nice to know, if you're boondocking, how much battery do I have left to use. So what happens in the case where your battery has been drained down inadvertently below the maximum floor? And for this, I'm only talking about the flooded batteries and the AGM batteries, not your lithium batteries. Well, there's a company out there called Pulse Tech, and they make this Power Pulse maintenance system, and I'm going to put a link to this in the description below. And basically what it does is it sends a little bit of a charge across those plates that develop the sulfur on them, and it tends to keep them clean and free of the sulfur particles that create the damage to your battery. The more this sulfur builds up on your lead plates, the less charge they're going to take and the less life you're going to get out of them. If you have any questions about this, please drop them in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you and try to go into a little more depth. Installation is fairly easy of a shunt. You just 2 screws. You can screw it on near your battery bank. You hook the one end to the negative and the other end to your negative source, and you just draw one little thin red wire to your positive to power it. It'll send it Bluetooth. Ours is probably 20 feet or 30 feet away in the coach, and the signal comes out perfectly no matter where I'm standing. Thank you. We appreciate you coming back every week and watching our channel. Take care, everybody.